it's like I said to you before. The reason why I know the space no longer serves my purpose is because my purpose is much bigger than this space.
And cut. Okay. I'm dreaming of a time when I'm gonna have art in my home, leaving it for my children, my grandchildren, my great-great-grandchildren. Could it be this art? Could it be this portrait? I ain't got no money for that. Let me go talk to June Smith so she can tell me about him, because I ain't necessarily where I can be about it just yet. So, Half Centenarians, guess what? Let me just tell you this right now. I have been dabbling in the arts, and I brought some of my favorite shots that I've taken across New York and across the country. And I have June Smith here with me from Valley Arts in Orange, New Jersey. That's gonna kind of give me some information. Is it valid? Is it good? Is it worthy of what I'm expecting as payment for that particular piece? You know what I'm saying? So I'm lying. These are wonderful portraits that are here in Orange, New Jersey, in Valley Arts. I am there, so I wasn't lying about that. And this is June Smith. So here's what's funny. We had such a great conversation. We're gonna try to tie all of that back and loop back into it. But I want June to introduce herself to us and share your wonderful story with the Half Centenarian community. It's been my pleasure. Let's keep it going.
Hi, Half Centenarian community. My name is June Smith. I am the executive director here at Valley Arts, and we are located in Orange, New Jersey, and it is a pleasure to be with you and to chat.
We can't wait. See, because here's the thing. We have so many great things that we do. I've said this before. The reason I kind of got started is we're doing great things as Half Centenarians in silos. It's time for us now to share, to just inspire. Some of the things you've already said that we need to be showcasing, because you never know who's watching and who's looking to, kind of pivot and do some things differently. So give us a little background about how you got here, and what is it that an executive director, what would you say that you do as the director of this arts gallery?
So Valley Arts was started like in 2005, and it was really started by an organization called HANDS, which is Housing and Neighborhood Development Services. And HANDS saw some blighted communities in Orange and decided that they wanted to do some affordable housing. Long story short, one of the things that they incubated was Valley Arts as a nonprofit. The building that we're actually currently in is in the Kelly Copeland building, and Kelly Copeland was an employee of HANDS who died maybe about 12 years ago. But Kelly Copeland was a woman of color and who decided, or who felt it was important to be able to have arts in all of the housing developments that HANDS owned.
Right.
Throughout the city. So Valley Arts has been here, and we initially had the entire floor. But due to hard times and due to a shift in terms of, economics, we now have just this side of the space. However, again, COVID has created some opportunities for us to begin to think about shifting how we actually show up. And I think one of the ways in which we want to do that is we really want to become much more virtual, much more online, much more mobile.
Yeah.
So do we really need a brick and mortar, right? And so is it sexy to be a gallery? Of course it is. Everybody thinks it's a wonderful thing. It's visual arts, and then you get to play in different spaces, and you get to, rub shoulders with, very well-known, seasoned artists.
Got it.
Or emerging artists, or writers, or, art lovers and art supporters. And all of that is wonderful, but I believe that, again, there is now a time for a change and a shift. And what does that look like for us? It means expansion. It means expansion not just in terms of space and mobility, but it also means expansion in the way in how we see the arts.
But I think that is one of the things we talked about prior to us going on air is, if COVID showed us anything, it's that, sometimes it's time for you to make changes and things that you can evolve that you didn't think about until we were given an opportunity to sit back and reflect.
Correct.
And so now you are really launching into doing things differently as it relates to the gallery.
Sure.
So let me ask you, when you started just your career, let's go back. We're talking to your 25-year-old self, right?
Okay.
Did you always dabble in the arts, or how did you end up as an executive director of an arts gallery?
I am a published writer
Look at
and editor, and I worked in the publishing industry for a very long time. And then I decided that one day somebody came to me and said, hey, you know what? I have a job for you in the New York City Department of Education, and I want you to take it. And I was like, I don't really know if I want to do that. It would mean taking a great pay cut. But prior to that, after I left publishing, I really wanted to understand business. And I really decided that one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to learn business development. And so I started working for PricewaterhouseCoopers for about 7 years, learning the business world, learning business development, learning consulting.
Right.
And then once I left there and went to the New York City Department of Education, it afforded me the opportunity to work with a lot of young people, but also with a lot of brilliant men and women who were educators. One of the things that I did notice was that there was really a disconnect between business and education. And
As
so,
there shouldn't be, right?
And so, people, to me, it was like orange and apples. And so I felt like the one thing I wanted to be able to do, or I know that I always realized I could do, was that I can always use my writing skills to afford me the opportunity to get into a variety of different spaces. While I actually was working in the corporate setting, I had a girlfriend who actually owned a media company, and I would help her out doing production work. And so I would do production work when I wasn't doing my other 9 to 5, because I'm a Caribbean, so I have 20 jobs. But at the end of the day, it always allowed me to have additional skills.
Yeah.
Right? So when I actually decided to take on this position, because as I was working in business, one of the things we wanted to do was to help Valley Arts as a client, and we did that. Then I actually was asked to sit on the board. I sat on the board for a year, and then I was asked, would I be interested in being the executive director?
Let me stop you right there for just a second. So you started out as a writer, then you started working in business, then you went to education, and then you became a part of the Valley Arts on the board side. So when you were asked, bringing that timeline together, when you were asked to become the ED, how long ago was that?
February 2021.
Okay, so now I'm saying you're a half centenarian by this time, and you're making some changes in your life, right? You're doing some things that you may not have seen earlier, but now you have this role, this new role as an ED. When you decided to do this, as an I'm not an executive director, but as a half centenarian, how has changing some of the things that you've done as it relates to your title?
It's the ability to think about how you see yourself, right? So labels for me don't really matter, right? You asked me earlier, do I see myself as a gallerist? Do I see myself as an executive director? I see myself kind of like everything when I need to be that thing.
Gotcha. Makes
So
sense.
I don't really resonate with that in the same way. What I do recognize is that my ability and my experiences and my connections have afforded me entry to spaces and places.
Got it. So when you think about your responsibility, so you have the ability to right now showcase artists. Talk to me a little bit about how you're giving those artists, starving artists that we hear about all the time, new artists, even seasoned artists. How are you helping them showcase their work?
Yeah, by doing this, this work here that we're looking at is in our upcoming exhibit, March 12th. It's going to happen. This work is by Lazarus Baptiste. Lazarus Baptiste was the makeup artist for Gayle King.
Oh, wow.
And decided to retire from doing makeup and decided that he wanted to be a photographer. He had been doing photography He's a night photographer. He only shoots at night. So he shoots when it's dusk until, pre-dawn.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I want to kind of end with is, or just take us back, it's the Half Centenarian channel, so it's important that we understand our legacy, and we're supposed to be teaching the next generation and taking what we have to bring it to the next part of our lives.
Right.
What would you say to yourself if you had to talk to yourself at 25? What would you tell your 25-year-old self?
Be unapologetic about your craft. Take it seriously. Tap into what you know your initial DNA is, and go for it.
Go for it.
Have no apologies about who you are, about where you come from,
Right.
about your experience, your exposure, your access. Know that any door that's in front of you, you can open. And open it.
And open it. That's right.
Because you've been given, see, my thing is this, and we have a mutual friend who says that Earl Graves has said, any thought that you have is possible.
Right.
If you thought it, it can happen. Okay? And so I say to you, I kid, and I say, oh, I'm a Caribbean, and I have 20 jobs. But let me say this to you. I understand poverty, and I understand access, and I understand not being poor,
Yeah.
not being in that poverty space. I like not being in that poverty space better.
Options.
I can relate,
Yeah.
I can accept, and I can empathize. And my job as you grow is to bring the others along.
Absolutely.
And it's to pay it forward.
Yes.
And so when I look at your team, I say kudos to you, because you have a team of young professional people who are doing it. You're doing just what you're supposed to be doing. You're walking the walk, talking the talk. And so I have a team of young people who I work with, who I want to continue to work with, and that's the reason why we're launching into this new space of working with young people who are talented, who are capable, and who are creative.
Oh, on that note, so I'm so appreciative of you for kind of bringing that in, because here's what I believe too, and I echo that sentiment, all of those sentiments, because each one reach one, brings some
Absolutely.
people forward. But the goal is, sometimes we bring some knowledge. Not everybody has the level of knowledge that we would hope when they're bringing in a new vision. But then you partner that with other people, man, that's where we can do great things.
It's the secret sauce.
Yes. And so we stir all of that together.
Yeah.
Man, you said the most important thing to me. You are where you're supposed to be. So I take that as a validation statement. I love what you guys are doing here at Valley Arts. And like you have, like me, mentioning that before, you have great people around you doing big things. And that's going to help evolve what you're trying to do outside of this space.
Absolutely.
Right?
It's like I said to you before, the reason why I know this space no longer serves my purpose is because my purpose is much bigger than this space.
And cut. Okay. Because that says so much to me.
Real.
It's
real.
far greater.
Your vision,
than these walls.
Your vision is
What?
your vision.
Yes.
And nothing can contain your vision.
That's it.
But you.
But you.
So,
and that's why open that box. Let yourself out and do what you need to do.
The definition of access is really cannot be constrained, and it cannot be constricted.
That's right.
And therefore will not be restricted.
I just want to tell you, thank you for the conversation. I look to extend the conversation.
Absolutely.
But for the purposes of the Half Centenarian channel, you guys check out art and really get yourself involved in what is happening in your local communities, because there's so much. Yes.
Support your artists.
Yes.
Support your Black artists. Particularly support your artists of color.
Yeah.
Because I just think that sometimes, again, the exploitation is real, right? And just because we have fancy
artists
clothes,
on that list,
just because we have fancy clothes and we drive nice cars and we live in nice homes, there are some folks that don't have that, and there are some folks that are trying to create something for that. And at the end of the day, support your small businesses. Allow them to be able to know that you care.
Yeah. Because
It's
they're trying to
real.
create their legacies
Well,
as
that's the
well.
whole
and
idea.
creating is the operative word.
Creating is the operative word.
Creating.
You know?
And we have to support that. So go out and support your local community, just
Please.
whatever's around that area, arts, small business. I love that you brought that in there.
Oh, yeah.
And we are so appreciative. We're here in Orange, New Jersey, freezing cold, but it was so much fun. The conversation was
Warm heart.
fire. Yes,
Warm heart.
yes. Thank you so much, you guys. Don't forget to like, share, comment. Check out Valley Arts. Check out June Smith. Great things happening, you guys.
Yeah.
You don't want to miss out. Be
See you
safe.
soon. March
Be careful.
12th.
March 12th.
March 12th.
Yes.